G'day, everybody. Welcome here to the Zach and Lachlan Sports Watch. We are back another week. Big round one. But, Zachy, how are you, mate?
Yeah, I'm good, going well. Keen for another big show. Round one's been and gone, so keen to get through it all for sure.
Hmm. Yeah, 100%. I mean, we're like 30 weeks from grand final day. It doesn't really seem that long away when you think about it, and we've only just
No,
really begun, which is good.
oh, it's awesome. Lots to unpack from round one as well, but really looking forward to it. Got a big show ahead. Few segments planned, so we'll get onto that a bit later, I'm sure.
Yeah, a new segment which should keep
Mm.
the people entertained. The people wanted a new segment, and by the people I mean I wanted a new segment, and the people got what they want. So, a new segment. It's mine and Zachy's brainchild. We'll see how it goes, but I think it's got some real legs. Do you want to start with the review of the game, or do you want to start with? I've done a little bit of research, the ins and outs, and some team whispers.
Let's go with the team whispers, I reckon. I'd like to hear what you've got for us and who's in, who's out, and some, big selection calls.
Okay, first off, just straight off the bat, all this information is from afl.com.au. I didn't source it, just thought I'd give props where it is. Let's start with Fremantle. No Hayden Young this week for them, so he is out of their squad with injury, and many Sydney fans would have seen leading in from
Mm.
selection last night. By the time this comes out, Isaac Heaney, he's out as well, a big out for the Swans. Caden Cleary comes in, as does Corey Warner, which will be interesting.
Gordon's the other one. Gordon's the other big out, isn't he? Shoulder.
And Gordon's a big out too.
He'll be out for 4 months as a result on the weekend, which is unfortunate for himself and the Sydney Swans. I mean, lose both Heaney and Gordon, you're probably going to struggle a little bit tomorrow night, heading to the MCG, I believe, against Hawthorn. So, a huge,
Mm,
huge task in itself, and you take out those two as well. It only gets bigger for the Swans who have started the season perfectly.
100%. Elsewhere, Artie Jones, Lath Vandermeer, and Jordan Croft potentially come back in for the Dogs. The first two look likely to be available for selection. Richmond will have some experience back in their lineup. Dion Prestia and Nick Vasselin look likely to come in. One of those players, if they do come in, will be at the expense of Ryan Mansell, who looks like he is out. He's out of selection, apparently an injury. And Bobby Hill, this was breaking news. Mitch
Mm.
Cleary not too long ago. Bobby Hill could return to Collingwood as early as Monday, so that could be a massive cop for the Magpies.
Could be a huge get. I mean, if you can get him back on the park, healthy, in the right mindset, we know what he can do with the footy, and what he can do for the Collingwood side. I mean, you go back to 2023, Norm Smith medalist, kicking four in the first half. So he's capable of quite a lot. If you can add him back into that Collingwood side, it goes a long way in helping them moving forward ahead of the footy for sure.
And it'd be nice just on a personal level for him as well to get
Mm.
back with his mates, put some personal dramas behind. So from the human side of the story as well, it's great that he might be able to get back. So hopefully he does return on Monday or in the near future, and he can get back to that footy we saw in the 2023 grand final where he was clearly at his best. The old Hills hoist, I think was the cool B teammate at the time. So yeah, he's a ripping player, and hopefully for Collingwood and for himself as well and his family, he's back playing footy nice and quickly. That was all the I guess kind of ins and outs and selection dramas. Hawthorn going unchanged as well.
Mhm.
They responded emphatically against Essendon previous the week where they were defeated by GWS. How do you think they're going to go against the quality opposition? Because Essendon, they have quality in their ranks, but their entire team, when they stack up against the Hawks should have won that game on paper, and they did. Against Sydney, potentially the Swans going as favourites. A little bit more of a different story.
Yeah, who knows who goes in as favourites with that one? Obviously, Sydney with the hot start. Hawks just getting under the way last week against the Bombers on Thursday night. So impressive win by them to put 145 points on the board. We know they can do that. They've done it the last, couple years, scoring quickly, but so can the Swans. We've seen that in the early part. They've just got knocked off the reigning premiers at home as well. So they've had a great start, as I say, but you lose Heaney, you lose Goulden, you're losing about 50 possessions, throughout your
Mm.
midfield in that space. So it's going to be a tough ask for Sydney to get the job done, in my opinion, going away from home as well. Obviously, it's had a bit of a cushy start. Their first two games at home for them. So going away from home for the first time this year is a very tough ask, and then you lose probably your best two players as well in Gould and Heaney. Some other guys around them are going to have to step up for sure if Sydney want to get the job done.
Yeah, do you want to save the Crows and the Doggies for a little bit later? I think that's game of the round for mine. I just want to
Mm.
save it because it's an Adelaide team. It's always good for retention purposes. Richmond and Gold Coast, surely it's sunk by how much here?
Oh, it has to be. Although Richmond on their home deck against the Suns have got it done in the recent years. But yeah, it's Gold Coast by how much? I don't think you can really mount a case at all for Richmond. They're impressive enough, just not quite, didn't quite execute to the standard last week against Carlton, unfortunately. So look, yeah, for mine, Gold Coast by how much? It's going to be another tough week for Richmond, I think.
Two teams that are in major need of a win. GWS and St Kilda. The Saints were dismal for large
Mm.
parts of the game against Melbourne. I feel like that's a pretty fair word. And GWS were dismal all game against the Dogs. So where do you see this one going? Giants at home.
Giants at home, look, Giants. I think St Kilda are staring down the barrel of 0-3. Not where I had them at all. Starting this, I had them winning, beating Collingwood, beating Melbourne, and now
And
you go up to NG Stadium. I don't see them getting the
mm,
job done at all. So I think they're going to be, starting the season 0-3 and just almost behind the hunt really early on, which is probably going to hurt their season.
and the reigning premiers at Marvel in round four probably
Yeah.
doesn't get the job
Yeah.
any easier, although they are having a little bit of struggle as well in
Mhm.
Brisbane. But St Kilda could be heading into that gather round game with Port on that Sunday night at 0-4, which could be particularly difficult for a club that's just spent, $400 million or how much it was in the off-season. So should be fairly interesting to see what they're able to do. Freo on Melbourne, I think this game's very interesting. The D's were very good on Sunday,
Mhm.
and they were good from. It wasn't St Kilda making them look good. It was genuinely Melbourne playing better footy than the Saints.
Mhm.
Max Gawn is an absolute beast. If he doesn't have, I think he's got eight All Australians. He might even be a lock early on for number nine. He was incredible in that last quarter and really bossed a guy that St Kilda paid a lot of money for.
Oh, you nailed it. I think, you've paid upwards of 1.5 million for a guy, and you have a guy who's, probably not well, but past his prime a little bit. What would he be? 33 plus. So, and he
Mm.
absolutely gave it to Koenig, who's, almost 10 years younger than the bloke and on a lot more money than he is. So, it's a little bit embarrassing, for De Koning, in my opinion. But look, you're right. Gorn and the D's, they were good. Are they going to be good enough to go over to Freo and beat Freo? No. And Freo, they'd be a little bit disappointed with their efforts on the weekend, being up, 30 points against the Cats. Could have well and truly,
Mm.
buried them. Didn't. So a little bit disappointing there. And, back in front of their, home fans, you'd expect a big showing against Melbourne, that's for sure.
We'll skip over Port and Essendon just for a second. West Coast and North Melbourne. This game's very interesting because it's a game of the cellar dwellers, but North Melbourne are fourth at the minute, which is pretty interesting after one game for them.
Yeah, it is an interesting game. I think you have to go with North Melbourne. See, I thought, West Coast were okay, only losing by, 10 goals for them away from home against one of the, high power offenses in the Suns is good. But look, North Melbourne, again, like we touched on at the start of the year, I think, you'd expect them to win a lot of these games. Their first four is pretty easy. So, and this is just another one that just gets easier for them from, last week. So you'd expect them to get the job done and get it done, quite convincingly, I would have thought.
You're a big fan of North Melbourne. I've been
Wouldn't say
less
huge.
positive. I would say you're a huge fan of North Melbourne. Let's be realistic here. You've tipped them twice in the last two
Mhm.
seasons to get into finals. You tipped them to make finals last year in the top eight, obviously, when we didn't have the wild card round. What did you see on Sunday that I guess kind of repaid your faith a little bit in what you'd said over the last couple of seasons?
I saw a couple of guys who, have been around the team for a long time, really step up. I thought Davies Uniacke was extremely good on the weekend. Guys getting around him like that as well. You add in Sheezel there now. He's been doing it the last 3 years, won their last two BNFs. So he was huge again, ahead of the footy as well. I like what Nick Larkey can do. the skipper now. They've got another couple of guys up there, Trembath, Zerha played okay, but the young guys in Doveston as well on debut, I thought he was impressive. Blamires in the back lines was really good as well. They just need to keep winning games, and these are some of the games that you need to win against Port, against West Coast, games like that, and build some confidence because they've won 20 games in the last 5 6 years. So a win's a win, and that's just only going to build more and more confidence for themselves.
It'll be a battle of the midfield on Friday night. I think the Crows and the Doggies.
Yeah.
This is going to be a really good game of footy. Who wins and why? Because I think I've got my answer.
I think you should answer because we can take complete bias out of this one if you give me the answer, I think.
I think the Adelaide Crows will win this game of football. I think their midfield is
Is the weak
just a
link.
little bit better than the Doggies.
Okay, so you're saying the with Isaac Rankin coming back in and what you
Hmm.
saw from the Crows midfield on the weekend, you're saying they're better than the Dogs now?
Yeah, better might be the wrong
Yeah.
word. I think the Doggies are too one-dimensional, and they're like
Yeah.
they've got Marcus Bontempelli, they've got Ed Richards, Riley Sanders has his moments, as I've said over the last couple of episodes. But for mine, when you look across that Adelaide midfield, Saligo, Rankin now back in. You've got other players in there. Dawson goes through there. Laird has his moments in there as well. They've just got so many options and so many different levers they can pull that if the Dogs start to get on top in there, they can flick three new players in and all of a sudden end up with an entire different midfield dynamic. I think that's where the difference is going to be in this game. It won't be a lot. It'll be a couple of goals at absolute most, and that's either way. I think this game could go down as one of the best of the season. Um, I think I think when you look at the potency of the Dogs forward line as well, Sam Darcy, he's down there. He's going to be doing a lot of the damage. But you go the other way with the
Yeah,
Crows,
exactly.
Biltthorpe, you've got Fogarty down there. Walker, there's a Broken Hill resident. His name's still sung up here. They absolutely love him, and I love what he brings to the party as well. So for mine, I think it'll be the Crows. I think it'll be very tight, and also playing in front of your home crowd probably helps as well. Not that that'll account for a lot on the field.
Oh, and absolutely. And I think, the Crows themselves have got, both, like you mentioned, both quite good, forward lines, well, great, top four forward lines in the competition, I'd say. The Crows have a bit more, I guess, power or diversity in their back line, which is probably going to be where, the game could be flipped. I think the Crows have got more opportunity keeping the Dogs, say, under 100 points than the Dogs do keeping the Crows under 100 points. So you're absolutely right. It'll be a close game. Tipping it to be quite high scoring as well. Friday night,
Mm.
Adelaide Oval, conditions look pretty good, I think. So, big game, you know, it's going to be a big crowd. So, really looking forward to seeing how that one plays out. It's going to be really exciting, I reckon. Definitely game of the week.
Yeah, this one won't be game of the week. Port Adelaide and Essendon. It'll be an interesting watch for all the wrong reasons, I think. Essendon, we mentioned it when we were talking about Hawthorn just before. They didn't have their best day. They probably played up to what we were expecting, and Port Adelaide were classed by a team that is very young and very inexperienced. Josh Carr, potentially, I mean, I know Alistair Clarkson's a four-time premiership coach, but he really didn't have the charges to pull off what he did on the weekend. He was outclassed, I think. I want to start with one player, and many, if you were, betting the dollar and 1 cent is Zach Butters, but I want to start with Jason Horne-Francis, a
Mm.
former number one pick. There were guys in his draft year that probably would have gone number one had they not been tied to academies and stuff. Is he? And they asked this on tradies, so I am taking McClure and Cleary's work. But is he worthy of what a number one pick should be heading into his fifth or sixth year?
No, definitely not. As simple as that. I don't think he's done enough so far in his career to be worthy of a number one pick at all. I think he's been quite underwhelming, if that's the right word. I think
Mm,
you look at his, I guess, physical attributes and you go, this guy could be an absolute machine in that midfield. And against a North Melbourne midfield, you would have thought he would spend a lot more time in that midfield. Instead, he spent a lot of time forward of the footy. I couldn't believe he had
mm.
10 touches or something for the game. He either spent a lot of time on the bench or he spent a lot of time forward. We didn't see a lot of him, in that midfield, which I think is where, naturally he lies.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, it was the Nasir effect almost,
Mm.
where Wangan Miller was given free reign by Ross Lyon, if you believe what he says in his press conference, and they left him forward,
Yeah.
which was ridiculous considering the fact that they needed to generate run out of the midfield. Melbourne were bossing, and it was the same situation against North Melbourne for Port. They needed their aces in there. They needed, their wild cards in there, the guys that were going to do the most amount of damage, and they simply didn't use them. They didn't use them in Jason Horne-Francis, and St Kilda didn't use it with Naz either. So troubling times in the coaches' box for those two clubs, I think.
Oh, definitely. And on Horn Francis as well, I think he needs a big few weeks, and he needs it right now because he's been,
Mm.
underwhelming for a couple of years now. So definitely needs for himself, and his reputation. I think he needs a big couple of weeks.
Yeah, 100%. Could not agree more. Zach, big news dropped. I think Couch Sweeney dropped it a couple days ago. No mid-season trade period. They've flirted with it. They've flirted with it. They've decided against it again. I don't think we're gonna get I don't think we're gonna get a mid-season trade period for a while. Are you a big fan of this?
Look, I'm probably not my expertise, but I would assume that a mid-season, and you've heard a lot of clubs talk about it, a mid-season trade period would benefit them, and they're the guys in the know as well, aren't they? So it would
Mm.
benefit them if you're in need of something. You've seen it in the last couple of years. A ruckman goes down for a team, they need another ruckman. And that ruckman on the other team might be playing in the resis, and you go, well, he'd be playing on our team because our number one ruck's out. So when you come up that mid-season, I think it could work quite well, but when you see probably maybe a high profile, get the flick and for, draft picks or whatever, however it works, probably not the best way of using it. But if you're in need of
Mm.
something, then definitely, wouldn't be against it.
Yeah, I was going to ask on that because, I mean, it's all well and good to a ruck goes down, you need a new player. You can go get someone that should be playing
Mm.
footy but is being kept out. I this is terrible of me, but I can't remember who Melbourne's second ruck is. But they might be getting, well, they're definitely going to be getting kept out by Max Gawn,
Yeah,
or Mason Cox getting kept out by Sean Darcy.
yeah, exactly. Yeah,
I'm not opposed to it from that way, but the other way that it can be used is a Zach Merritt can try and get to Hawthorn again and leave Essendon really stuck in the mud with half a season to go. There's where I've got to push back a little bit.
yeah, that's
You
not great for
can't
the
just
competition.
be
No, no,
Yeah, you can't just be chasing
no,
premierships from mid-season.
no.
Is there a way that clubs can protect themselves where you can't approach the top five players on your list as nominated by the club, or you can't approach a guy that's played 9 out of 11 games or something like that, where there is a mechanism where you can sort of save yourself, and it also adds to the spectacle in October when we get to the actual trade period. But the other thing I wanted to bring up is, and they do it a lot in soccer, loans. Would you be interested in a loan system for clubs? So, say Max Gawn goes down, Mason Cox isn't getting the game time at Melbourne, but he gets loaned to, sorry, he isn't getting the game time at Fremantle, gets loaned to Melbourne with, 6 months of the year to go. Would you be interested in something like that?
Look, it would probably be better in saving the fact that you wouldn't have like you said, a Zach Merritt, coming from Essendon going to Hawthorn because it's not a trade, it's a loan. It's like we touched on before, it's a player in need at a certain club, and maybe this player isn't in need at that, the club that's trading away. So definitely a loan system or however you want to call it could work, because again, it would take away high profiles, trying to get away mid-season, which logistically in the AFL just wouldn't work, would it?
No, it's not like Europe where you can just,
Yeah,
Chelsea to PSG, you can uproot
like
your
just
life,
like
go
that.
and play in Paris and
Yeah.
not see your former teammates for 3 years. You're going to be seeing them pretty quickly, I'd imagine, in the AFL system, especially when there's only 18 teams. I mean, you can only combine so many matchups before you'd end up running into your old teammates again.
Just on that quickly. I
Yeah.
mean, Zach Merritt, he's the talk of the town once again. Bombers have a bad
Hmm.
loss. We're going to be hearing about it all year. What good does that actually do for Essendon? And, would they have their time again in trying to actually get something done late last year? Because this is going to haunt them for the rest of the year, I think, because the media is going to be on them. They're going to be on Zach Merritt. They're going to be on Hawthorn. is absolutely the talk of the town. If they keep losing and Merritt ends up wanting out again at the end of the year, I mean, it's just not been a great or a productive year at all for him, has it?
Yeah, yesterday, Callum Twomey doing
Yeah.
more breaking news. He breaks all the news just about. He's an expert. This boy is. Essendon has tabled a multi-year contract extension to Zach Merritt as the champion midfielder weighs up the offer. I mean, he's tied to the end of 2027. Does he sign again?
You wouldn't have
Potentially. He
thought
tried to
so.
get to the Hawks, as we all know. But to answer your question, it doesn't do Essendon any favours until he either goes one way or the other. If we get to the end of the year and he requests out, they'll have to trade him this time. The damage it's going to do to their club all year of having the media hound every single time Zach's put in front of the media, it'll be, what are you doing? Are you going to resign? Have you had any more progressive chats with the football club? That'll be the questions that get asked at him. It'll be very quickly away from what Essendon are doing on field and what he's going to do at the end of the year. If Essendon had their time again, I was thinking about it today because I was re-listening to the rush hour and they had the same conversation of, geez, three first rounders would really help Essendon out right now.
Absolutely.
I think if they had their time again, they'd take the deal.
I just thought it was silly at the time. Yes, it was proving a point, but
Mm.
you now look at it, I don't think internally they thought about, the media that's now around them. I mean, it's round one already. They've had a bad loss. They're on them like hounds. So yeah, it's not going to be a great season for them in that aspect. And if they keep losing, it's not going to be a great aspect, on the field either.
Do you want to jump across to his Victorian teammate from the state of origin, Zach Butters?
Okay.
Where do we think he's going? Because
We
I
know,
think
yeah.
it's I think it's pretty close. He might not get the most amount of money at the Dogs,
Mhm.
but that would be the most attractive offer, I think, to him, and that would be the one where the Dogs would definitely want him.
Yeah, I mean, it's round one, and we're just watching that, him late in that game. Yes, he was getting a tag, but was he 100%? I don't want to speculate on that, at all, really. But um, look, it's going to be a tough year, I think, for Port Adelaide, going away from home. Were favourites in that game against North Melbourne, so they get a couple of more bad results like that. I don't see him staying at all, for good reason as well. It's going to be, a
Mm.
few years before, I think Port Adelaide are back up and running, and I don't think he's just, the type of player, and that draw to go back home is going to be too great. And to be able to, if he gets that opportunity to go to the Dogs, a childhood dream probably to play for the Dogs as well, considering he grew up, supporting them. So, look, it'd be a bit of a dream move for him, and a team that's been around the mark, hasn't quite, hit in the recent years, but are now looking like they're, going up again for sure.
It'd be interesting because Collingwood apparently have a war chest and they're still an attractive club. Is $2 million enough to sway his mind? Where, well, there's no saying Collingwood will even guarantee that or offer that. But
Are
it could be
Collingwood
very
a,
interesting to
are
see what he
Collingwood a
does.
team now like the Dogs that are going up, or are they going more down for the next 3-4 years?
Yeah, can I take that question on a no, actually I'm not gonna say that. I am gonna make a decision here. I don't know. Based off what I saw against St Kilda, they were very good. Based off what I saw last week, so. Yeah, I think they're on the down. I think with the way their list is looking at the minute, potentially age-wise, I think they might be heading down. But Collingwood are one of those clubs where we say too old at the beginning of every year, and every
Yeah,
year
you're
they
right.
somehow manage to make finals.
Yeah,
So they'll probably be in the window again. Who knows? But if I was saying in terms of, gun to my head, where are they going? I think they're on the down, but it is Collingwood, so who knows really. Do you want to get onto this new segment?
let's do it. Finish the show nicely. Let's go.
All right, this new segment is called Bullseye. So the rules are pretty simple. I've got five opinions. I'm gonna throw to Zachy. On the opinion Zach thinks he agrees with most, he's going to yell Bullseye, but he doesn't get to hear each opinion. So if you get to opinion one, and opinion one is something, let's just pick one that isn't on the list. West Coast are going to win the premiership, and Zach goes, "Yep, that's mine." He's Bullseye. Then he gets to defend it, but if he wisely lets that pass, and the next question is, North are going to make finals, and he yells bullseye on that one, then he picks that one. If you get all the way down to number five and you don't pick any of them, you have to argue number five. So the idea is to try and make sure. It's basically like one of them TikToks where you rank the thing without knowing what's coming next. I
Blind
mean, we've all
ranking. There
seen
you
it.
go. Bit
Yeah,
of a
blind
blind rank.
ranking. Thank you. That's the one. We've all done it. We've all done it with footy players, I'm sure. I did one once and it was a complete disaster. I think that's still on the Instagram actually, if you scroll back far enough. But let's have a little look. Zach, are you ready?
I'm ready. Let's go.
I'll give you 5 seconds in between to sort of have a think about it. Port are the worst placed team in the league. All right, 5 seconds is too long. You get 3 seconds.
Yeah.
St Kilda have wasted its money.
I feel like there's some more to come here.
All right.
I think I might have
The
missed on one
Western
there.
the Western Bulldogs are the biggest premiership threat.
Yep. I'm going with that at three.
You got to say bullseye.
Oh, bullseye. Sorry, I'm new to this segment as well,
Jeez, it's
mate.
the name of the segment.
Bullseye. Let's go.
All right, why? Go on.
Premiership threat. I like that word. I think they definitely are. They're definitely a top four side. I did pick them to be a top four side. What they've got going at the moment, the way they're playing, they're going to be a hard team to defend. I know they don't defend well the other way, but you're going to have to put up upwards of, 90 points, 80 points against this side to be able to beat them because they're going to put upwards of 100 points on the board, most weeks, I believe, in my opinion. So just that alone, that high power offense and the way that they play, they're out all out offense almost at times, and that's what cost them a little bit, last year. But I think they're full with it now, and the players are fully bought in, and the way they've started the season's been impressive. I really like what they did opening round, going to Brisbane, beating the reigning premiers again in a high power offense game. They put up 110 against a pretty good defense in the Brizzy Lions as well. And last week as well, you're really impressive against a Giants side who just come off a really impressive win against a likely challenger in Hawthorn as well. So perfect start of the season, and I'm really keen to see what they can do on Friday night. I think they're definitely one of the key premiership threats for 2026.
Does your answer change if Adelaide beat them?
I don't think so, no. Not at this
Okay.
stage in the season, no.
I'm going to give you two words in my defense and then I'll rest my case. Actually, there will be four. The Gold Coast Suns. They have got everything right to make a premiership tilt. They played finals last year. They've got that experience. Why are that their list looks more complete than what the Dogs does when I look at the two side by side? I think the Gold Coast are a bigger, genuine threat than what the Western Bulldogs are at the minute.
I think with the Bulldogs, you've got guys that have been there and done that as well. You've got a couple of
Hmm.
guys in their side that have definitely been there and done that before. They know what it takes, and the way they're playing, the Gold Coast play in a similar manner. I get what you're saying. I'm not saying they're going to win the premiership, but to your point, they're one of the key premiership threats. The Gold Coast Suns are another one as well. Definitely, they're a threat to some of those favourites in terms of Brisbane and teams like that. Who are probably favoured to win it, considering they've won the last two. So definitely the Bulldogs, though, in my opinion. And I've been on them since the start of the year as well. So I'm glad you brought
You
this
have
one up.
been.
I just like the way. Just got a different feeling about the Dogs this year. They're sort of playing the same way, but a little bit better for a poor explanation. But that's just how I see it.
Who's got the better list, Gold Coast or the Western Bulldogs?
Oh, it has to be Gold Coast.
Okay,
Yeah,
interesting,
yeah,
interesting. And you're still picking the Dogs because the question was the biggest threat. You're still picking the Dogs.
I am. Yeah,
Okay, cool. Do you want to know what options four and five were?
I do. Yeah, let's make it fun.
Yeah, so option one for those that missed it, Port are the worst placed team in the league. St Kilda have wasted its money. That was option two. Option three, which Zach ended up arguing, and I always have to argue the defensive. The Western Bulldogs are the biggest premiership threat. Option four, Nick Dacos will play for Tasmania before 2030. And
Mm.
option five, if you hadn't used your bullseye, would have been Christian Petrarca will win the Brownlow medal.
Oh,
After
that
hearing those
question
two,
five would have been a good hit, I reckon, because he's got
yeah,
six
yeah,
votes already
question.
for sure.
Yeah, well, I didn't want to leave you in the dark for the first one with something ridiculous like the
Yeah.
example I used off the top West Coast will win the premiership. You're just sitting there like, that
Let me
wouldn't have
think
made
about
for
that
good
one.
viewing. Sorry?
Yeah. Let me think about that one.
Take it under advisement. We'll do it next week. Um, Interesting just on Nick Dacos. I do want to bring up number four. Yes or no, and we might get into this a little bit more next week. Nick Dacos, does he leave Collingwood when Tasmania come in?
Not straight away, no. Actually, I don't see him going at all. No, there you go. No.
Okay, I'm going to keep my opinion under advisement
Yeah.
because I haven't made up my mind yet. So next week we'll be back again. Hopefully everyone enjoyed the show. Hopefully everyone enjoyed the new segment. We'll get that clipped on social media. Let us know what you think. It may take a couple of weeks to get used to if you weren't 100% across it. I didn't explain it very well. But hopefully you all enjoyed the podcast. Hopefully it was a good half an hour for you there, or half an hour, 25 minutes, however long we've been going for. Enjoy the footy. We'll see you next week. Zach, any final thoughts?
Nah, just enjoy the footy, enjoy the weekend. It's going to be huge. Big match up tomorrow, big match up Friday night. So blockbusters everywhere you look. Really looking forward to the weekend.
Well, thanks everybody for watching Zach and Lachlan Sports Watch. We will see you very shortly next week. We'll record next Wednesday. We'll see you next Thursday. Adios.